Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our burger barn. I've got all of my pieces cut out, as should you, and we're going to jump right into it here. We're going to kind of take this step by step, and I'm going to put together some of the little embellishments first, and then we'll work on the structure. So the first thing is the little burger, which is made up of a bunch of little pieces here, and we'll just go through step by step and get them all in place here. Okay, so we're going to start off with this shape here, okay, and next we're going to put down this piece. We're kind of going from like largest to smallest. This is the meat, and you'll see what I mean here once we actually put it together. I did run this through an embossing machine, just like this part here. I don't really need that part because it's not even going to be visible. But let's get our glue going here. And we're going to glue that down to the main piece here. I don't know what's going on with my glue here. I think it's finally starting to dry out. Okay. And you can see this little piece of lettuce here. Just want to match that up along with the rest of the little elements that are kind of sticking off the side of the burger. Just line that up as accurately as you can and press that down, just like that. Next, we're going to find our little tomato layer, which is this guy here, and that's going to go right on top like that. Also has the little lettuce pieces on the side. So let's get that in place. Working on all three of these today has got me just craving all sorts of food. But I'm trying to drop some weight here. So this is not good to be staring at this stuff all day long while trying to lose weight. Okay, next we're going to take this piece here. This is like the top of the bun, but we're actually going to take and I'm going to glue this piece to this piece first. So let's get our glue going here. Hopefully you can see all this. There we go. Just go easy on the glue here. It's a pretty small piece. It doesn't need a ton of glue. And this is just, this back layer is to kind of create the, well, to give the little sesame seeds a little bit of color. Okay. So we're going to put this right here, like so. So get your glue going on the back of this. Nice and easy. Not too much. And pop that into place. Just match it up with the top of the burger. There we go, just like that. Next, take our lettuce and pop our lettuce right there. It's kind of like a little puzzle piece. Should fit right there, right over the tomato. Okay, just go easy on the glue here. Just doing little dots. If you don't get glue on every single little inch of this, it's totally fine. Okay, match it up with the little lettuce pieces on the side and just make sure that it's nice and flush up against the rest of the burger there. There we go. Perfect. Here's our beautiful cheese. Oh boy. And I have a salad coming. I'm going to eat salad, and that's going to go right down here at the bottom, like so. Okay, and you can see the little dots that I added are just to kind of give the meat a little bit of texture. There you go, just like that. Okay, and I've got a little toothpick, and I think that's yeah, that's a little cucumber or pickle, I should say. At the top, we're going to take this little piece and glue it to the shadow layer. Now this is pretty delicate too, so go easy on the glue here. Make sure you get a little bit on the shadow portion of the toothpick. Okay, it's going to go right there. Just match up the little point. Almost looks like we're putting together like an alien's head or something, because it's all green. There we go, just like that. And we'll top that off with this tiny little guy here. Okay, I don't know if you could even see that. And you definitely don't need that much glue. just little dots. Okay, I'll just grab it by the tip and then grab it by the base. Just match that up, just like that. I had a little too much glue there. Just rub that off with my hand, or my finger, I should say. And then we're just going to put glue on this base part here, the bottom part. You don't need to put any glue on the little toothpick portion, since that's kind of just hanging in the air there. And you can see there's a little bump at the top of the bun. Just pop that right on there. And there we go. Okay, so there's our cute little burger all ready to go once we get the rest of this put together. You can put this off to the side for now. And next we can do is, well, let's put our little sign together. The sign is just 2 layers. Well, actually it's 3. So we've got the main burger barn part. It's going to get glued right to this brown piece so that we have brown lettering. And I'm just going to do a nice thin line around the perimeter. And then throw a few little dots on these little tiny cutouts that are kind of hanging free there on the R, the G, maybe one on the U, and then just dab that with your finger to thin it out so it doesn't come squirting out. And this is going to fit flush onto this piece. So just make sure you get that nice and aligned. There we go. Press that down. Beautiful. Then we're going to take this whole piece and we're going to glue it to this piece, and we're going to try to get it nice and centered. And we want to make sure that we maintain a nice even border all the way around. Just like that. Get that centered. That looks almost spot on. Give it a little nudge to the left. There we go. And press that down. Try not to tear any of the little inside cutouts for the letters. Does that look straight? Yes, it does. Good. Okay, so that one's done. You can put that off to the side for now. And next, we've got this piece here. The silver part is going to go on the bottom. This is going to go right on the top, like so. So let's flip this over, get our glue going, nice and thin. A little bit on this little half circle there. And you just want to match up the circle part. It's only going to cover about half of this. Make sure it's nice and flush all the way, left and right. There we go, perfect. Press that down. Okay, now there's a, this piece is actually going to go on top, but I'm not going to glue this down just yet because I'm going to actually be adding some rhinestones to a part of the main structure at a later time here. And let me see here, make sure I'm doing this right. Yep. We'll just put glue on this entire back piece. There's a little bit of the color behind it that kind of peeks through on the horns, which is why we've got it as 2 layers. Just match that up like so. I'm gonna actually pick this up. There we go, press that down. Okay, there we go. Almost. That looks good. And then we'll take this brown piece, and the brown piece is going to get glued right to the center. So it's funny because during the assembly video for the taqueria, the little Mexican restaurant, I was talking about tacos, and Mexican food's my favorite, as I'm sure it is for many of you, but I guess a burger's a burger, but boy, do they taste different no matter where you go. It's so strange to me because it's, you know, it's just beef. Okay, so that's done. This is going to go on here, but I'm not going to put that on just yet. So let's just put that off to the side for now. And I'm going to work on this little fence. Okay, so the fence it's 2 layers, but then we also have some additional pieces that go on top, and that's to add some dimension to it. So you can see that this one's going to fit on here. And technically, it would fit on here as well, because I think it's just mirrored. but I want my texture side out. So make sure that you, if you're, you know, if the texture is important to you, make sure you're putting it on correctly, because if you flip it over, it will fit on the other one, but then you'll lose your beautiful texture, so don't do that. Okay, so that's gonna go right on there, like so. Make sure you get it aligned as accurately as you can. So we have a little bit of that gray showing. And this will also make it thicker so that it doesn't wobble. It'll be nice and stiff and sturdy as a little fence should be. I think this is where you tie your horse up to when you go visit the burger barn. Maybe we should have made something for the horse to eat. Okay, just line that up as accurately as you can, just like so. And obviously inking, I've done some inking on this, as I usually do on my projects. Okay, so now these are gonna go right on top of these other sections here. Just a matter of figuring out where each one goes. That one looked like it should have went there. Let me try that again. That's not it. Maybe it's this way. That's not it. Let me try this other one here. We'll flip it over this way. There it is. Okay, so that one goes there. You might have to kind of flip them around a little bit and try, you know, each side of the fence to ultimately get it to where it needs to be. Also, there are a series of little markers on these, and that is, you can either kind of draw in a little black dot to imitate like a nail in there, or if you have tiny little pearls or rhinestones, you can also use those. Okay, so I'm just going through and matching these up, and you can see the nice little dimension that that adds by layering this up a little bit. It just makes it look a little more lifelike. Okay, and I do recommend that you kind of check to make sure that you know where it's going before you actually put the glue on the back of it. Otherwise, you know, if you put the glue on the back and you're not sure where it's going, chances are the glue is going to dry out and then you're going to have to reapply. So better to know where it's going, then apply your glue instead of guessing. Okay, this one's going to go here, I believe. Yep, that looks good. Let's get some glue on the back of that. Just a nice thin little line. And pop that into place. Just match that up as accurately as you can. And that one's going there. Obviously, we only have 2 left, so I had a 50-50 chance of getting it in the right spot. There we go. And last but not least, we got this one here. And then once we get this done, we're going to start working on putting the various panels together, including all the little window fixtures and such. Okay, but there is our little fence. And again, don't forget, you've got little markers there to help you with the positioning of your little nails. And we'll talk about that in more detail in just a little bit. Next, you can put together the sides of our burger barn. So these are the panels. What was that? Okay, and there's a blue layer that goes behind this vanilla layer. And the cool thing is we've got this long rectangle here at the bottom to help us with the positioning, because we've got somewhat of a little 3D effect going on with the blue layer behind there to make it look more dimensional. So we're adding dimension by kind of fooling the eye with some additional flat layers. So get your glue on the back of the window. Oh, that was awkward. And let's match up the little rectangle on the bottom, and then the rest of it will just kind of fall into place. And you can see what I meant by creating that 3D illusion. We've got the little blue part kind of sticking through, just barely. Okay, and now we're going to put this right on here. You just want to match up the cutouts with that. Okay, so we can actually put glue on this entire blue section on the back. Putting glue on the blue, like so. And just match that up with the cutout. Perfect. Very simple little project, but definitely cool. First thing that comes to mind as far as, well, what do I do with this thing? Well, I'm sure that there's someone in your life that enjoys a good burger, maybe AKA a grill master. This would be great for a dad or a guy, and you can put some cool little spices in there for them, seasonings or whatnot that they can use on the grill. Obviously, this piece is going to go right here, so some additional trim. Okay, so that's that. And I'm just going to repeat the same process here on the other side. So let's get that going. I'm going to start applying my glue to the back of this window. Oh, that was way too much there. Nice and thin line of glue around the outside of our little window frame. And if you do get too much, just kind of pat it or dab it with your finger. Thin that glue out. And like I said last time, let's just match up the little rectangular part at the bottom, and then the rest of it will fall into place magically. Okay, there we go. So that's that. And we can flip it over, apply our glue to the blue part, and could also make one of these. This is especially with these colors, with Memorial Day coming up. Probably going to have a little cookout. You can put a little electronic tea light inside this and add a little ambiance to maybe your table that has all of, you know, your all your goodies that you'll be eating and sharing with your friends and family. So that's always a nice little touch. I'd say that burgers are probably one of the most American foods that you'll consume. Okay, all right, so that one's done. Perfect. Now let's take a look. This is, we'll put that off to the side because we're gonna glue that down in a little bit here. This is the back of our structure. It looks like this. This is a little door where you can open it to insert your gift or your electronic tea light. And we're going to glue this down. We're going to maintain a nice even border all the way around. So let's get the glue going here. Got a lot of surface area to cover here, and this thing's a little wobbly, so you might have to adjust where you hold it as you apply your glue so that the thing doesn't wobble around, or you can just use your table to kind of keep it in place. Nice and easy on the glue. Okay, and again, we're trying to maintain a nice even border all the way around. So get that nice and centered. I use the word nice a lot, I guess, don't I? Okay, there we go. That looks good. And then we'll take this blue piece, and this blue piece covers this entire little door. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that we get that on there flush and lined up. Working that perimeter, and then a little bit on the inside. Get that matched up. I'm using the little 3/4 circle there at the top as my visual cue for alignment initially. And we'll push that down. There we go. Okay, so that's all in place. Okay, so kind of just like we did with the windows, there's going to be a little bit of blue sticking off of this as well. And let me see here, is that right? Yeah, we just want to make sure we match up this top part. There's going to be a little bit of a shadow element on the blue coming off to the right-hand side of the inside cutouts. Okay, so let's get our glue going on the back of this piece here. Gonna have to go kind of quick here. Again, we've got quite the surface area to cover, and we've got some little cutouts. We want to make sure that we get our glue in there as well. And as I mentioned, this top part is what we want to focus on getting aligned correctly. So do that, and the rest of it should just fall into place like magic. There we go. Just press that down. Perfect. Okay. Now, right here, you'll notice on the doors that we do have some little markers, and that's for these little pieces here. We cut ours out in gold, and those are the little door handles. So let's get those in place. I had way too much glue on there. And this is actually gold foil, so be careful if you are doing the same thing as us, or as I'm doing right now. And using gold foil, that if you do get glue on your fingers, try not to get it onto the gold foil because it really does show up and blemish it quite heavily. And we don't want that. Okay, so that's going right there. Press that down, just like so. Okay, now let's put the windows together. Now this is just like the other set of windows, minus the fact that it's not, you know, two windows connected together, it's just one. So same strategy applies here. You're going to take and line this up with the little rectangle at the bottom. And then the rest of it will just kind of fall into place. Perfect. Press that down. And we've got this little blue piece that's going to go on top. So let's get that going. Oops. Need a little more down there. There we go. And pop that into place right there. There's one. And we'll do the same thing with the other one here. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm curious, maybe leave a comment, tell me where you're from and your favorite burger joint in your area. Because if I ever visit, I'll go visit this this YouTube video and say, hey, you know what? Let's see what the dreamers say about where to get a good burger. Now that all these COVID restrictions have been lifted, I'm gonna try to get out a little bit more. Try to get outside of just Illinois and Wisconsin, which is where we typically go, and then occasionally Florida. It would be nice to travel more, but okay, so that's all set. Okay, so we can actually get these applied. These are going to go on flat like this. Okay, so we can put the door in place first. Let's get our glue going on the back of this. We'll do the top part first, a little bit down here, go along the sides of the doors, like that. There we go. And we're going to use the little cutouts here as our guide for placement. We also want to make sure that it's nice and flush with the bottom. That's also a good visual cue to make sure that you've got this aligned correctly. There we go. Perfect. Give that a little nudge. There we go. Okay. And then we'll get the windows in place. All right. And these are both the same, so it doesn't really matter which one you put where. Just match it up with the cutout. Make sure that, in my case, I've got red as the main color, which you probably will have too since it's a barn. Don't want any of that red showing through. Okay, there we go. Get that in place. You know, and as far as the like overlays and panels and embellishments go, that's almost pretty much it. I'm going to start putting together the actual structure here in just a moment. Perfect. Okay. Now you may want to just pop this underneath your working mat here, just so that it dries nice and flat. I'll do the same thing with the other ones. Okay. So next, what we can do, almost to that point here, these are the main structures here. We've got some little roof panels, and I inked them. It's like a stone color. I inked them blue, just to kind of make them look two-tone. And I ran this through an embossing machine with the little lines here, just to kind of give the illusion of it being a kind of like one of those, I forget what they call them, like a steel roof, a sheet metal sort of roof kind of thing. There we go. We'll pop that on there. If yours is not embossed, that's okay. Definitely hit it with some ink though. It'll make it look nice. Okay. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, there we go. And I'll pop that into place. Make sure that you get it nice and centered. You should have an even border all the way around. It only goes on one way because it's not a perfect square, it's a rectangle. So make sure that you get that on correctly. There we go. So there's the front, one of the sides, the back, one of the sides. This is the bottom. Okay, we'll just kind of keep that all together. And then this is like the facade part. And while we have this flat, I'm going to put this on here. So we've got these two little strips here. This one's going to go down first, and that's just going to kind of hug the roof there. And I'll take and apply my glue. Again, this is thin, so it's going to be a little bit wobbly. Just make sure that you're getting good glue coverage throughout, all the way down to the very edge. Okay, I'm going to use the peak of the roof as my initial guide. That's going to go flush all the way down and all the way down there. Perfect. Just like that. And then we have another little overlay, and this one's going to go right on top. So we've got like kind of a two-tone. Actually, no, it's going to go on the bottom, sorry. Towards the bottom of it, not towards the top of it. And this one might be easier if I just leave it on my table. Try not to actually get it on my table. I've done that before, and then I put something down and get glue on things that I don't want to get glue on. So be careful if you're doing this. That worked out pretty well, I'd say. Okay, and I'm just going to match that up. Whoops, right here with the little peak, but towards the bottom. There we go. Perfect and perfect. Wonderful. All right, so that's that. Now, actually, while we have this out, you can take this out, and we're actually going to glue this on right here, like so. And just like we did before, we're going to use the little cutouts of the window and the door as our little guide for alignment. So let's just get that going, and we'll put the rest of the panels on as well. And this one's going to go, this one's actually a little bit easier than the taqueria that I did first here. And I still have a pizza joint to put together. That's going to be fun. Just get your glue on the back of this. Maybe throw a little bit on this little line here between the windows. Flip that over, and again, just make sure that you get that nice and aligned with the cutouts for the door. Kind of using that as my first guide. Checking the windows too. Make sure it's flush at the bottom as well, and press that down. Perfect. Okay, so that's our little facade. It's going to go on the actual structure once we get it all done. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to take that and pop that underneath my mat. I'm going to pull these out because we can actually start putting these on the sides, because I think we're going to have a little bit of a, yep, there's a border around it. So we can totally do this now. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Just grab one and let's apply our glue. Work the perimeter first. Throw a little bit on the inside, like that. Maybe a little bit right here, through that little section where the windows are divided. Whoa, that was a close one. And then just match it up with the cutouts for the windows. And that will ensure that you get everything nice and centered. Press that down, just kind of work the perimeter. Perfect. There we go. Okay, and we can grab our other half, and we'll do the same thing. Just apply your glue around the perimeter. One through the center there. There we go. And again, just matching up the little cutouts there. Perfect. All right. Really making some progress here. Now this guy here, I think this one actually takes up the whole, yeah, so you know what, with this, we're gonna put this on after we actually assemble the main structure. So we can put that off to the side for a second, but in the meantime, let's flip these over, because we do need to apply our vellum, okay, and we have a few different sizes of vellums here, or vellum cutouts, I should say. This guy here, the square one's going to go on these windows, like that. And we've got one here for the individual one there, and then these long ones are for the door, okay? Now this is where the actual door goes, the back door, so that you can, you know, put your gift in there or put your little tea light in there. So with this, we're just gonna do a little line of glue around the perimeter. You can use a series of dots if you prefer, that's fine. It doesn't need to be perfect, no one's really gonna see this. And then just make sure that you're covering up the cutouts. Okay, so that one's done. And we'll move these out of the way. And the same thing here. Just a little thin line of glue. Don't overdo it, because if you put too much on there and you press this down, some of that glue might squirt out into the actual opening, and we don't want that. I'm gonna go around the perimeter here, and then just do a little X in the center. Match that up, press it down, nice and easy. Okay, and same thing here. Just like that. Grab this one, pop it into place. Kind of smacking it today. Okay, and there we go. Pop that into place. Yeah, they're larger than they need to be, but that's just to make it easier so that we don't make any mistakes and get glue all over the actual cutout part. We don't want that. And there's that one. Beautiful. Okay. Well, that actually is going together much faster and easier than I thought it would. Okay, so we got that, and next we're actually going to start putting this thing together. All right, so now that we have pretty much everything in place, we're going to take and join these two sections together. I'm going to flip this up like so and apply glue to one of these tabs here. You could technically start on the other half, it doesn't really matter. We're essentially putting together a box right now. Spread that glue out to the very edge of the tab. Grab the other half, line it up nice and flush up against that little score mark there. Make sure that the bottom matches up with this little score mark there. Press that down for just a second, and then take it and fold it onto itself at that seam. And if you need to, give it a little bit of a nudge. Now's the time to do that. To make sure that we have this lined up properly, if you fold this tab back, you'll notice that this edge here should match up with the other tab just underneath it, right at that little angled section of the tab. Okay, let's unfold that, open it up, perfect. Now we're going to take and put glue on this tab and get that glue going. Spread that glue out all the way to the very edge of the tab, thin it out nicely, and we can actually put this down flat like so. Grab the other end here, and it should just magically fall into place. Press that down like so. Now I'm going to take this and lift it up and fold it at that seam. It's kind of like a box card. Same thing we would do with a box card. If you've never made one of those, you should definitely try it out. Okay, and press that down. There we go. Beautiful. All right, so now I've got two options here. We can either put the bottom together or get the roof in place. Either way, I think I'm going to do the roof first. Let's pull this back. We're going to do this side first, the side with the tab. Okay, so let's take and apply glue to these two tabs here. This is going to be kind of, it's going to be bouncing around a little bit until we get this one in place. Swing that around, apply glue to the other side, like so. And just like we did a few seconds ago here, we're going to take that glue, spread it out to the very edge of the tab, like so. And let's move this out of the way for now. We'll bring this up and press that up against that tab. Same with this side here. Make sure everything is nice and lined up. And once we have that lined up, we can actually put this down flat on our surface and press down on the tab from the inside. You can see I'm kind of pushing down on the tab there. You want to do both sides. Okay, kind of stick your fingers in through any of these little windows. And there we go. check your work, make sure everything is sitting nice and flush. That looks pretty good. Okay, now bring that down. Now what we're going to do is put glue on these 3 tabs. I'm going to fold this down so it sits nice and flat for me, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to put glue on these 3 tabs. We're going to close up the roof. Okay. Get that glue going. We're going to spread that glue out to the edge of the tabs again, like so. That is already drying out. I had a little bit too much there, so I'm going to take the excess and put it on the other tabs. Go ahead and close this up. Make sure everything matches up nicely. Right at the, there we go. I have to push that in a little bit. It was a little bit off. There we go. Okay, you can actually put that down on your surface as well and press down from the inside to help the rest of that tab get a grip on the roof. Perfect. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward, guys. I'm just making it easy for you with this bundle. Not too difficult at all. Okay. All right, wonderful. All right, let's take and I can kind of position it like this. It's a little crooked for now, but we'll fix that in just a second. So now this is the bottom. We're going to put that in place. We're going to actually anchor this to one of the sides first. Instead of trying to do all 4 tabs at once, it's just a lot easier to anchor it to one side, make sure that it's nice and centered, nice and aligned, and that's going to help it kind of fall into place more easily on the remaining 3 tabs once we get one in place. So I put glue on one of the tabs, the longer tabs. Okay, get that nice and lined up. Press that down, and then you can actually take it, let it fall, and then press down from the inside to get the rest of that tab to take hold. Perfect. And that looks good. We can swing that open for a second and put glue on the remaining 3 tabs now. I'm going to go a little bit heavier here because I don't want this glue to dry on me before I get a chance to spread it out. Okay, I'm doing the bottom tab here. I'm not really sure if you can see that. Yeah, you can see it. And then we'll take it, just like we did before, spread that glue out to the very edge of the tab on all 3 sides. Okay, clean off your fingers, and then go ahead and bring this down and just line it up with this side first. Make sure you get it nice and aligned. And then the other 2 sides should just kind of fall into place. If you need to kind of nudge the walls in a little bit, that's totally normal. Okay, keep doing that. Pop this down, and then you can push down on the tabs from the inside to help the rest of those get a nice grip. Okay, I'm going to take a look. We'll do some quality control here now, and just to make sure that everything is sitting nice and flush, that we don't have any gaps anywhere. I have actually done a pretty good job. Take a look and see if I've got any gaps. No, it looks pretty good. Okay, cool. So now it's just a matter of putting the front on like so, and then putting the back on. Okay, so here with this, since this pretty much covers the entire surface or the entire area of this, what we can actually do is put our glue on this section here. So let's do that. Let's get our glue flowing here. I'm going to focus on making sure I get enough glue out on the perimeter, and then we can kind of fill in these spaces here, like so. Okay, and then pop that into place. Just match up the little cutouts for the doors and the windows. Make sure it's nice and flush at the bottom, and then just start pushing down. And again, this is like a little facade, so let's flip this over so we can push down from the inside to really get that to stick. Kind of running my finger along the very perimeter of the inside so that that is sitting nice and flush. There we go. Oh, found a little gap in the roof there. If you happen to come across something like that, just grab a scrap piece of paper, throw a little bit of glue right on the corner, and just tuck it right in between the two areas that are not sitting flush, and then just press and hold that for a few seconds to get that to stay put. Okay, there we go. Man, that looks great. Wonderful. Okay, so now flip this on the back. We've got this piece. This is going to go right on there flush completely. Should match up perfectly. And just like we did with the front, I'm going to apply glue to this surface. And then we're going to take that and kind of spread that glue out to the very edges. And we'll do a little bit here. Careful of this area here. Avoid this section here. And then we're going to take this and pop it right on. Actually, I forgot to spread it out. And it's already starting to dry, so I got to move quick. There we go. And let's pop that on. Just match it up with the existing structure. And you can kind of feel to make sure that everything is nice and flush. And I think I did a pretty good job there. Again, we can always do some quality control to make sure that all of our seams are nice and clean and crisp. There we go. Beautiful. Press that down. Okay, now with our little door here, I'll show you how this works. If you want, grab a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to throw a little extra glue on this and just paint a little bit around the perimeter of this so that it sits more flush. And you can just press it down right here. All right, this is where our little Velcro dots come in handy. We'll take and I should put this on our little list. This is what I'm using here. They're 3/8 inch Velcro dots, and I'm literally just going to cut one of these off. Doesn't matter if they're not perfectly round. And what we'll do is peel the backing off of one of these. Okay, whoops. And pop it right there. And then peel the backing off the other half. Sometimes it's a little tricky. There we go. And then you can just take it and press it down right there. It should be holding onto the paper. And we pull it off and it goes exactly where it needs to go so that we can keep that nice and shut. Okay, there it is. Beautiful. And at this point, you can kind of dress up the front of it, finish that off. Now, one reason why I didn't want to put this on is because these little holes here, I'm actually going to put some pearls on there, okay? And I didn't want this piece with the little horns to get in the way. But before I get into that, the first thing we're going to do, you'll notice that on the back of this burger, there's a little point there, okay? Now this is actually going to get foam squared, so I'm going to grab my, where the heck did they, there they are. I'm going to grab my foam squares. I'm going to put my burger in place. You're going to use those little, you're going to use the little markers there to help you position that. You can see there's a little peak there, and that's going to match up with actually, yeah, that's going to go right here. And that's just going to go right on the peak of the roof. So you can actually put it on this way if you want. Just match it up with the peak. Let's see if that's centered. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, so that's going right there. And actually I goofed up. We don't want to put that on just yet. We got to put the sign on first. So let me peel that off. That's not, I actually peeled some of that off, but it's okay because we're just going to pop that right back into place and it'll be hidden. So let's flip this over, and we do got to put our sign on first, and I do want to make that dimensional. So I'll put one on the left, put one on the right, get one in the center, peel that off. And we do have some little markers here to help you with the positioning of it. The top left and the top right corner. You can see where the little marker is. So that goes there. Now back to this. I still have enough sticky on this to where I don't have to worry about it. I'll flip it back here using that little marker to help with the positioning. And that looks pretty good. Press that down. There we go, Burger Barn. And like I mentioned here, this guy, this is gonna go on like this. I'm actually gonna use a foam square for this as well. So let's put a foam square here. And then this guy is gonna go right on here, like so, nice and centered. Okay, and this is gonna get foam squared right onto this. But again, because these little horns are in the way of this, I'm gonna put my pearls on there first and then put the foam squares on here. I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so you can see here I've got my little pearls out. I'm just gonna put on the ones right now that are in my way. So it's just really these two. I'm gonna throw a little bit of glue right where these dots are. So we actually make these dots for you in case you don't use rhinestones. And I might have gotten a little bit too much glue on there, so I'm gonna pull some of that off. Okay, and I'm just gonna pop those right into place. We'll just do these two for now. I'll do the rest of them off camera. There's one, and there's the other. That one's gonna need a little more glue. There we go. Just pop that into place. I'll do the remaining rhinestones, or I'm sorry, pearls off camera. Okay, so that's gonna go right there. That looks great, nice and centered. And then we'll take this guy and flip it over and apply our foam squares. We're gonna make this nice and dimensional. So, you know, it's like we're making things nice and impressive and dimensional without having to literally make everything 3D. You know what I mean? This just makes things more enjoyable, more fun. Trying to turn a piece like this into an actual 3D element would be kind of a headache, I think. All right, so that's just gonna go right there. You can see that those would be a little tough to get to if you're putting pearls on there. Okay, so that looks good. All right, so the structure is pretty much done. Now we need to build the little base for it, which is right here. All right, so let's put our base together. You can see here I've already pre-folded everything, and all we're doing is connecting these little triangular tabs to the side walls here. So throw a little bit of glue on your first triangular tab. I'm gonna thin that out and also spread it around so that I've got glue on the entire surface of that tab, and then tuck it behind the neighboring wall and press and hold until it's fully set. Should just take a few seconds. Less is more when it comes to the glue at this point. If you overdo it on the glue, you're gonna be sitting there waiting for layers and layers and layers of glue to dry. If you keep it nice and thin, it should go pretty quick. So that one's pretty much dry. I'm gonna go over here now to the next one and take my finger, spread it out, thin it out, wipe it off, tuck that behind the neighboring wall, line it up and press and hold. There we go. Just like that. Really squeezing it to help get that glue in there. It speeds things up a little bit. And now we can move on to this guy here. Get your glue on there. Maybe one more little dot. Spread that out nice and thin all the way out to the very edge. Tuck that in behind the neighbor. Press and hold. And just keep on pressing. There we go. And that just leaves one more right here. Go ahead, apply your glue And instead of pulling this thing out with my finger, I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper and use that to spread and thin the glue out a little bit. There we go. Tuck that behind the neighboring wall, line it up, and press and hold. There we go. There we go. Okay, so all four sides are connected. We can push these tabs down, and we're going to take this piece here, and we're going to anchor it to one of the longer sides. So pick a longer side, doesn't matter which one. Let's get our glue on there, spread it nice and thin all the way out to the very edge, just like that. Grab this piece and line it up right up to the edge, nice and centered, and press that down right along that edge. Then we can take it and drop it and press down from the inside so that the rest of the tab gets a good hold on this cover, this lid as we'll call it. There we go. Now don't let that swing back. It might pull those tabs apart. Kind of keep it up. And here we're going to take and apply glue to the remaining 3 tabs. Again, I'm going a little bit heavier on the first one because it's going to be a few seconds before I get back to it. And we're going to spread that glue out to the very edge, just like we did. I'm going to come back here. That part didn't have enough there. Just got to work quick here. There we go. Beautiful. We're going to close it up. Focus on getting it aligned with this side here first. I need to push that in a bit. Get it nice and centered. Press down. And then if you need to kind of nudge the sidewalls in a little bit, that's totally fine. This is actually going to be the bottom of our base. So no one's really going to see it, but we do want to make sure that we keep it nice and clean and everything lines up nice and flush. Keep pressing down until we're sure that it's fully dry. That looks great. And just keep doing that. One thing I do want to do with this is I'm gonna ink this a little bit, just the top part of it, just to dirty it up a little bit since I inked everything else on my barn. By the way, you'll notice that we have a series of little score marks here and here, okay? And that's right here, the center part is where our little grass thing is going to go. I'll show you that in a second. But before we get to that, I just want to ink this a little bit. Maybe too much there. Now, if you're new to inking, check out our website. There's also a live video on YouTube that I did recently where I discussed inking and the tools that we use, as well as my little methods for inking when it comes to our 3D paper projects. Okay. Basically, this is just a felt applicator. I think it's by Ranger. It comes in a pack of, I'd say like 50. And I'm using dye-based inks right now. You can also use chalk-based inks. That's fine. Yeah, just work a little bit differently, but essentially give you the same end result. And I'm just kind of trying to dirty this up a little bit. It sounds kind of weird, and I'd want to get it dirty, but it's a barn. It's a little rustic. I also did a lot of inking on the barn to kind of dirty it up, so I just want to give this a little bit of character. There we go. Okay, that's fine. All right, so now all that's left to do here, again, find the little score marks there. We're going to take this and we're going to glue this down in between the 2 center score marks, like so. Okay, so let's get our glue flowing here. I think I actually like reverse embossed everything this time around. Well, at least this. Oh well, it still looks cool. Okay, now this part where it's folded, the skinnier part's obviously going to go on this side surface. Make sure you get it nice and centered. Press that down along the side and then press it here. Okay. Now our house, or the actual burger barn, You'll notice that there's 2 little score marks here. We're gonna align that with the front, like so, okay? And that should pretty much, whoops, that should be flush with that little green part, the grass, as we'll call it. So we can go ahead and apply our glue to the bottom of this. I'm gonna go pretty heavy here with the glue. No one's gonna see this part anyway. We just want it to sit nice and flush, especially up here towards the front. So I'm gonna spread that glue out to the front and the sides, like so. Oops, I'm gonna match it up with the little markers there. And again, just make sure that that front door is nice and flush with the little green part. That looks good. Let that set. And the last thing we need to do now is just put our fence in place. Oh, and also don't forget to, again, these little markers here, you just fill those in with like a black, I'm probably just gonna use a Sharpie, I think, maybe. Let's see. If I had a black Sharpie in here, I might have used it for something. Let's see here, what do I got? This is probably too thin. Oh, that might work. Here, we can just do this real quick. Just fill it in. Just little circles. Right where those little markers are. Just to give the indication of like some little nails. Okay, you can see those there. You could also do it in brown if you want. I think that's fine too. One right there. Right there. Another one there. There we go. Okay, and so they're gonna go like this. The top one on each is gonna be kind of coming in, and these are just gonna get glued right here. Actually, we want this flush like that. So just take a little bit of glue right along the base of this, like so. Okay, and you want the little fence post, the left one, to be kind of flush with the grass, and also make sure this is flush at the bottom. And just press that into place, give that a few seconds to set, like so. I kind of maybe went a little heavy on the glue there. There we go, there's that. And then finally this one here, same thing. Just throw a little line of glue there at the very bottom. It's almost like a little virtual rectangle there at the bottom, nice and flush up against the grass on the left-hand side of the grass this time, and press that down. And that's it for the burger barn, guys. Again, I'm going to finish this off by putting 3 more little rhinestones there. I'm sorry, pearls, and I don't think there's anything else that I want to add to this. Just throw a little light in there, or again, if you're using this as a gift box, then you can do that as well. You got a beautiful little door on the back, plenty of room for a small gift. I'd probably keep it kind of lightweight, but there's the beautiful burger barn. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please take a moment and visit us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit the little bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new product, whether it be paid or free. And also, we've been doing a lot of live streams lately, so that'll kind of help you stay on top of that as well. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can use the little URL here at the bottom of your screen. It'll take you right there. So anyway, hope you guys had a good time, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and also please consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where we have over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly videos. I look forward to crafting with you soon.